This is episode number 28 with Jason Munro. Welcome to the Doc Fitness podcast, where it's all about developing your mindset, training and nutritional knowledge so you can lose body fat and build muscle effectively while still living a real life. I am your host, David O'Connor. Now let's get into the show. How are we keeping, guys? And a big welcome back to the Doc Fitness podcast. And today I have Jason from Munro Fitness on the show, who is a nutritionist based in Scotland who coaches, I think at the time of recording this, over 1,700 ladies predominantly that have come from like a dieting kind of background, mainly through Slimming World and Weight Watchers style plans. And he coaches them to basically understand at the fundamental level how we lose body fat, how we maintain weight, how we gain weight, but kind of bring that into a sustainable lifestyle so you're not constantly kind of binge eating around food, you're not yo-yo dieting, you're not getting fixated on the weight scales, that kind of stuff. And to lose body fat in a sustainable way, know how to keep it off, and be in kind of like a community with like-minded people as well. And with that, we wanted to go deep into the topic of Slimming World because two of us have a lot of experience coaching clients in that realm. So like we get into the nitty-gritty of what Slimming World is and kind of how it does create unhealthy relationships with food over time, and what to do like when you're in that kind of negative cycle of, you know, weighing in 1 week and weighing in the next week. I mean, inevitably being the same weight for months on end, and what to kind of do about that. But we get into a lot of detailed topics here, guys, and believe me, it is hard to leave opinion completely out of this. Obviously, we're trying to keep things as factual based and as evidence based as we can, which we do. But again, topics like this really get me kind of fired up in a way where, you know, if you're taking up the wrong way, you can have a different viewpoint on it. I get passionate about this stuff. I curse a lot when I get passionate about this stuff. But again, that's just kind of my passion pouring out in it. It's who I am. It's the way I portray things. And you'll see kind of the way we flow with that in this episode. But I had a great time chatting with Jason on everything kind of Slimming World, the ins and outs with it. And what the hell to do if you're somebody who's caught in kind of like this negative cycle, and where to go from there. So guys, hopefully this is a super helpful episode. If you know anyone that is taking part in Slimming World, that is doing Slimming World, even if you're a male, listen to this and you don't really care about dieting clothes or anything like that, it is still worth a listen, because you might realise that your partner, your girlfriend, or someone you know, your mother, your sister that is doing this, that you can actually maybe direct them into a more positive light around food, and you might even be able to send them on this episode. So strap in and let's welcome Jason on the show. So, Jason, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thanks for having me, David.
No problem at all. And Jason, I throw everyone in the deep end when we kick off the podcast, and I ask you a simple question that I want you to answer in 10 seconds or less.
Okay.
And that is, what is it that you do?
Help people lose weight would be the easiest one. Help people lose weight, teach them how to eat so that they never have to diet again.
Nice.
There you go. How's that?
5 seconds. Brilliant. And yeah, like today, I know we were talking off air about what we kind of want to cover, and based on what you do as well, which we'll get into in a second. But I suppose, let's actually transition to that first. Like Munro Fitness. What is Munro Fitness all about, and kind of where did it start, and kind of even like how has it got to where it is now, and like just what you do is a bit more depth.
Yeah, so I did something completely different to this a couple of years ago. I was a machine operator. I used to make slabs and monoblock and various concrete products, and I did that for a long time. I got onto my own kind of fat loss and fitness journey. Discovered calories, macros, and then moved on to the kind of evidence-based approach and started to get into that stuff. And then through my Instagram account, which gradually grew as I kind of put out content and created content, people got in touch, and then I started kind of coaching people individually, one-on-one via Instagram Messenger, which was massively time-consuming. You know, imagine telling 10 people the same thing over and over again, having to kind of repeat it and retype it and stuff. So I started the Facebook group, or kind of built up to the Facebook group towards the end of 2017. Launched it on January 1st, 2018 with about 110 members or thereabouts. I had set myself a goal of reaching 500 members by the end of the year, hopefully moving away from the day job, going full time doing this. And by the end of February, 2 months later, I had this 500 members, so I had to quickly pack in the day job, and I went full time on the group. And here we are, 14 months on, and we have just over 1,700 members.
Fantastic. And like, is it? I know like a lot of your members come from kind of like a Slimming World, Weight Watchers kind of background, and
oh yeah,
like,
yeah, 100%,
yeah. So like, just explain that a little bit more. So people pay like a monthly fee, isn't it? And they have access to you in a Facebook group and the community and whatnot, and you coach them on kind of like sustainable principles from there, is it?
Yeah, basically, yeah. So it's of the 1,700 odd members, it is, I should have checked the figures before I came on here, but it's something like 90% female. And I would say 80-85% of the total membership of the group are ex-Slimming World, Weight Watchers, etc. Mainly because of the way that I market the group and the kind of content put out and the things that I speak about in my stories on Instagram, and of course through word of mouth. And that's attracted this kind of specific group of people. When I wrote my group, I wrote it for a completely different group of people. So I wrote this fat loss guide, which is set up within the confines of the group. So basically people join, they watch the welcome video where I explain various things, and then they work their way through an introduction. And the introduction is mainly there to kind of break them down, reprogram them, and kind of build them from the ground up again, because they've been subjected to years and years and years, scary number of years in some cases. I think one of the kind of longest serving members with Slimming World was like 26, 25 years, which is amazing to me, to you as well. I mean, you know what it's like. People should not be on diets for this kind of length of time. So yeah, introduction, breaks them down, rebuilds them, then we work out their kind of personal calorie macro goals based on what their goals are, and then from there we teach them how to track, weigh their food, educate them on the various food groups, macros, and how they can achieve these goals. That's kind of supported by weekly live chats that we do in the group, and then they check in with me every fortnight so we can track the progress, see how their weight's doing, how their measurements are doing, and how they're getting on.
Fantastic, yeah. I'd say your hands are pretty full with 1,700 members. Wow, that's brilliant.
Yes, I've got a couple of colleagues in the group that give me a hand. We've got a resident PT that deals with the exercise side of things, and so an not ex-member, but she was a member from the beginning. A friend of mine, Louise, she gives me a hand in the group as well. So yeah, it's not a case of 1,700 people all kind of in there all at the one time. It does sound like I'm a lot of members, and it does sound like it's very busy, but there's quite a lot of people that are quite happy just to plod along in the background, but they enjoy knowing that they have the kind of security of the group, and if they do need to ask anything or do need any help, then they can just dip in and out of it. Yes.
It's kind of like a lot of our members here too. So we have a facility here in Galway, Ireland. So like we'd be at capacity like 135 members, and we coach every single person, no matter if they're a one-to-one client or a small group client, large group client. We coach everyone individually, so it is feckin' time consuming in the background.
Yeah.
But we do have some members that could be fine for a few months tipping away. They're happy with things, but then when they want kind of a more focused goal, more focused approach, or just to check in a bit more in detail, they can do that. So, no, I fully understand that. But
it gives them the flexibility as well. Yeah.
Yes, of course, and it takes the kind of mindset off things as well, where not everything is just about fat loss. People are starting to realise that like there is times where you can quote unquote not lose or not gain weight, but just enjoy your training and enjoy life in general, and then kind of get refocused again for certain goals. But Jason, I know we were chatting off air, like kind of what way were we going to kick off this podcast, and we can't really go much further without going through the basic principle behind how we actually lose weight, how we gain weight, how we maintain weight.
Definitely, yeah.
Like, this always comes back to energy balance, and I think there's probably 3 or 4 episodes in detail on this, guy, so we're not going to regurgitate the same stuff again, but again, we're just going to preface this episode by just basically saying, like, you need to be in a negative energy deficit to be... You need to be in an energy deficit, a negative calorie balance, or calorie deficit, all they mean the same fucking thing, to lose weight. So calorie deficit you need to be in a caloric deficit to lose body fat. If you're eating at a level where your weight does not change all that much, so let's just say if you fluctuate between 1 to 2 pounds a week every month, or whatever it is, your weight isn't gaining, you're not really losing, you will be in what's called like maintenance level of calories, or an equal calorie balance. The calories you're taking in are kind of like matching the calories going out. And if somebody gains weight, it's not down to fucking sugar or carbs, it's down to the fact that you're eating a caloric surplus over time, and that is slowly adding on weight that you mightn't even see or notice until it's 4, 5, 6 weeks down the line. And again, every diet manipulates that energy balance principle. Every single diet that makes you lose weight puts you in a calorie deficit. That is the simple fact around that. And I was talking with Jason off air about this, guys, just to preface the whole episode by saying that, so now we can kind of get a bit deeper, because I think, Jason, you wanted to kind of start off by saying how certain diets manipulate that principle.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I did an infographic quite a while back now, and it was basically calorie deficit right at the centre, and the offshoots from that was, Slimming World, Weight Watchers, Slim Fast, you name it, they all do the same thing. Imagine you wanted to start a diet business, but you didn't want to empower your clients with knowledge. You wanted to keep all the power. So you sit down with your notepad and you all sit down the table and say, okay, we all know that calorie deficit is what we need to achieve. We all know that they're going to have to be eating adequate protein, adequate nutrients. What is the most complicated and nonsensical way we can achieve that and still get them to pay us money for it, but have some of them be successful, some of them not be successful? This is basically how it works. This is what it comes down to, creating a plan that makes them financially dependent on you, because their success only works whilst they are following your plan or paying you money to be a part of your plan. This is my personal take on how these plans all work. If everybody just taught calories and macros and calories and macronutrients and explained the kind of needs that we all have, all these companies would be out of a job.
Yeah.
Or out of business.
People want to believe that there is some sort of magic thing out there that's going to be better than X, Y, or Z. Like,
yes, absolutely, yeah.
This week alone, the 1st of April, I was sitting down planning out the week Sunday night, and I was like, do you know what, I'm going to put up an April Fool's post for the fun of it. And I said, I read it. I take the piss out of apple cider vinegar and BCAAs a lot. Like I've an article written on BCAAs. It's not just, this is not an opinionated article. It is based on the evidence that's out there currently, right? And obviously there is a bit of my own opinion there too, but again, I'm not going to mindlessly throw out opinions if I'm not able to back those opinions up. So apple cider vinegar is one of them, BCA is another one. So I said I'm going to put the two of them together. Surely people will know that I'm blatantly taking the piss. And I put it up, and I got, I think, 3 or 4 messages from people asking questions about it that weren't clients. I had about 3 clients come to me asking me about it, which I was shocked with. But the fact of the matter was, out of the, and then I put up a poll, like there was 100 and something people that voted on it. Out of those 100 people, there was still about 12 or 15 people, I think, that thought I was telling the truth because I put up like a compelling message behind it, and I pretended to reference a paper, but people don't fucking read science papers unless you're like me and you want to geek out in it. Yeah. So they just take it for face value. Because I put out content for the last 6-7 years, and because we get results every day with clients, I put up one post that's a blatant joke, and because people have so much trust in me, they thought that I was telling the truth. And it's the same way with these companies as well. Like, I think I was looking at, I know we're going to go into detail, Jason, on Slimming World, so I might as well just use that example now. Like, I think last night I was just looking up some numbers based on an article that was written on, I think it was January this year. Somebody was saying Slimming World has 900,000 members. I'd say it's more than that, but like when you do the math on that, it's absolutely mind-boggling stuff. Like, multiply that by the £10 joining fee and the £5 a week fee, and then their bars. Well, like, oh my god! So
magazines, recipe books, etc.
You can understand how profitable that company is. You're definitely talking billions a year, probably.
And then doing all their foods in Iceland as well, all their kind of frozen foods, packaged meals. It's big business.
Yeah, like I even seen was it some company brought out like they called it like a similar name to Slimming World, so they could bring meals into like, I don't know, Tesco or somewhere like that, and Slimming World like they clamped down on it straight away because they were trying to copy Slimming World. Like, but again,
yes,
like you started off.
Yeah, it was Aldi. They were going to take Aldi. Aldi brought out their is it the Slim Zone meals? Yeah, they were going to take them to court. I think they've done the same with Asda as well over a similar kind of product. Yeah, they don't like it at all.
Yeah, and again, look at it's when you're a company that's profitable and you've that much power, and like I understand where they're coming from. They're making a shit ton of money, but again, where does ethics come in? Where does the relationships that you mess up over time with people? Like, these are people sitting at the top of the food chain that do not give a shit about the people that are getting severely messed up from this. Since what, 1970s it was invented?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I do believe that once upon a time somebody did set out with an intention of helping people, you know, like you and I do just now, but then it gets further down the line and then it's like, here's another business opportunity and here's another business opportunity. And once it goes from, you know, once you lose sight of what was at the core of it in the first place, helping people, and money comes into it, then that's it. It's just, it's gone. It's completely gone. It's a business and it's no longer there to help people anymore.
Yeah. And I even said to you the last week when we were talking about recording this episode, I do not want this to turn into a blatant rant between me and you, slashing Slimming World.
Of course, yes.
It's hard for us not to nearly away when we see the kind of the repercussions of it. Like, but again, like I had, I'm going to start this off with a little story, and we can go a little bit deeper in. But one of my ladies who's came to me from Slimming World, she's with us now for 16 weeks. Like, her life has been changed by Slimming World, so I'm not going to deny that fact. She's lost over 3 stone with Slimming World, or 2.5 stone, whatever it is with Slimming World. She was able to stick to the plan, got in a routine, severely disciplined, got great results. Like, everything changed, whole wardrobe changed, confidence, everything. But now, then she spent 6 months where she was up a pound, down a pound, up a pound, down a pound. And this is where then the bad relationship started to set in with food. And she started to realise, like, she was literally dependent on going to her weigh-ins every week. She was dependent on going to her weigh-ins and getting her Slimming World bars. And she stayed going even though she knew she was not losing any weight. But she said she was nearly brainwashed into it. They're the words she used. And last week, I hold these 90-day goals workshops for our members. And last week she was at it, and we were just chatting afterwards, and I was asking her how did that goal setting thing go, blah blah, and she was just saying it was a massive eye opener for her, because she still goes to Slimming World just to get the bars at the moment, and I'm trying to slowly been educating her to come off that. But I think this weekend the penny dropped for her, and she realised that she went to Slimming World last week, and she said there was over 100 people in the room. All of them were like pissed off because they were like down 3 pounds the first week, now they're up 2 pounds this week or whatever it was. And she said it was happening for the majority of them, and everyone looked fucking depressed coming out of the place. And she was like, oh my god, these people are completely brainwashed into their weight fluctuating a couple of pounds because they're eating unlimited pasta or whatever it is, and they don't see the bigger picture. Like, and even though that's what I've been trying to get through to her since day one, and she still felt attached to it because she had made such progress today. It was such a routine for her to go to her weigh-ins, to get her bars. So it's hard to come away from that. So for somebody, like, I can imagine the client that you had that's 26 years or whatever it was in Slimming World, that probably was incredibly hard for her to change her beliefs, you know. But this is what we're dealing with. Like, this is why we're having this fucking podcast episode, because we see this stuff firsthand, and like, you have a lot more experience dealing with these members as well. And yeah, like, is there anything you want to add to that, Jason?
Yeah, just what you're saying. I mean, as you say, you know, I've got a lot of members in my group. The majority of them are ex-Slimming World, and the same kind of recurring theme throughout the group is the things I battle mostly is the brainwashing aspect. Even when people have been in the group for a certain amount of time, they'll still come on and double check, you know, am I okay to eat this? Am I allowed to eat this? Are you sure I can eat this avocado and I'm still going to lose weight? Because of the things that they've been told, you know, at these groups, the kind of non-education that they've received. When you were saying about your client going back to group there, it made me think about that. I have a number of people join the group that perhaps can't get into it initially, so they just go back to their comfort zone and they'll go back to the local slimming group. But a couple of weeks later, they come right back again because I've kind of ruined the slimming world from them. They can no longer sit through the meetings and listen to the excuses and the responses from the consultants as to why you're not losing weight. You know, you're furiously flicking through these food diaries looking for something to blame. Then if they can't find anything, then it's, you know, maybe you're exercising too much, maybe you're not eating enough, and it just completely ruins it for them. So they come back to the group and they say, look, I'm sorry, I did leave for a couple of weeks because it was just a bit too much. I just kind of wanted to go back and do what I've been doing for the last 10 years. But because of the education that they kind of received when they initially joined my group, that's ruined it for them, and they see through it. And they just can't sit through these meetings anymore.
I can understand completely though where they come from, because they've spent so many years doing Slim World. It's easy to do. You show up, you get your plan, you follow the plan, done. But for someone like me and you, Jason, we're trying to educate them over time. That stuff takes time. That stuff is like, and a big factor too is kind of the reality factor of it all. It's like, right, you have to change long-term habits that you're not going to like. You're going to have to do X, Y, and Z that takes work. It's not, we're not saying it's easy. Like, again, we know the principle. You need to achieve a calorie deficit, but you need to make that work for your lifestyle, the foods you like, the times of day. All that needs to kind of work. It needs to work for your family, environment, all that kind of stuff. And you need to know as well, like, that diets are not meant to go fucking year round, every fucking year. You need to know how to come out of that kind of, what quote I call them, fat loss phases, to keep it simple. You need to know how to come out of that fat loss phase, how to enjoy yourself when you're going away on holidays and that kind of stuff, not feeling guilty. And then, if you want to go back into it again, you know how to do it. And that's, like, there's a lot of psychology around that, like, and people don't realise the damage they're doing over time with this as well. Because, like, anytime I put up anything about Slimming World, I always get one or two people in either through private messenger or leaving a comment saying, that's not how Slimming World works. It's this way, it's that way. I've lost so much weight in Slimming World. What are you talking about? And I'm not, we're not saying that, so let's look at, we're going to go back and forward with stories here if we don't try and put a structure on this, but let's start at the kind of like, how does Slimming World work, Jason, essentially?
Well, they create the plan surrounding what I do in the group, basically. I'll tell you what I do in the group first of all, actually. That's probably a good basis for it. So, when the guys join my group, we calculate their energy expenditure, so their TDEE, total daily energy expenditure. And then what I do with them all is we create a 600 calorie deficit, and then I give them a kind of 100 calorie range either side of that. So they'll have, let's say they're on 1800 calories, their calorie range would be 1700 to 1800. And the idea behind that is it gives them flexibility. So if they want to aim for 1700 Monday to Friday, to bank some calories ahead of the weekend because they perhaps have something on at the weekend, and that gives them the kind of flexibility to do that. And by the end of the week, they should still be achieving this total calorie deficit and lose weight, of course. But we also give them their minimum kind of protein target, and I also give them a fibre goal, not to help them go to the toilet, but to make sure that they are eating a wide variety of nutrient-dense food to achieve that. And that's all they have to do. Calories, protein, fibre. It's not strict. I don't beat them over the head with it if they don't hit it. If they're not getting anywhere near them, then there's a bit of encouragement as to, how you can do this, why you should be doing it. But the whole idea is you're creating a calorie restriction and then bringing in two things that are going to help them stick to that restriction. So that highly satiating combination of protein and fibre to help keep them fuller throughout the day. So that's what I do with the guys. That's nice and simple when I go over it like that. And then what I actually did last night was I gave my mum a ring. I said, could you bring your old Slimming World books over, please? So that I could have a look through them just before I do this podcast in the morning. So I've got this pile of books here that I've been kind of flicking through, skimming through, in case I get sucked in. And then, they basically build on what I do in the group, overcomplicate it. They're free food lists which, I mean, give them their due. They are kind of ordered well. Fruits, vegetables, fish, meat, poultry, dairy, eggs. Fine, free foods, free vegetables, free fruit, great. Meat as well, fair enough. You're not going to fill up too much on meat before you're starting to feel a bit stuffed. But it's when we start getting into the kind of rice and pasta thing, which is, we both know, is one of the biggest issues with slimming world. People piling this these free portions of pasta onto their plate because they know it's going to fill them up.
Yeah, like free, Jason, means unlimited, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
it's just for anyone that doesn't know. Like if someone is listening to this, they don't know what's in the world. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's free foods. It's kind of unlimited free foods. There is the kind of advice of you're supposed to stop eating when you're full, but you know, people pick out the parts that they want to pick out, and if you tell someone that something's free, you're not going to just put, you're not going to not eat it all, because in their head, you spoke earlier on about the magic. This is what people believe. They believe that there is some sort of magic combination that seems to work that just equates instant fat loss, and we both know it doesn't work like that.
And that's where the Syns come in as well. Like the synergy and the healthy extras. Like Syns did start off. Back, how long ago was the word Syns changed? When did that happen? Do you know?
I can't. I don't. One of my members did tell me one time, but yeah, there was a time where it was actually spelled Syns, and then it got converted.
That itself,
it's just the same word with a different letter.
And I had an argument about someone a few months back as well. They were saying sin does not mean a sin, and I'm like it used to, but they realised how bad it was, so they changed it to make it believe that it's synergy, which is still it's. I'm going to try and avoid calling things bullshit, but like, come on. But yeah, like it's the idea behind that is that it works in synergy to produce the results, isn't it?
Yes. So they say. Yeah. They say. Yeah.
And it's like people believing, if I drink a protein shake after the gym, if I don't drink a protein shake straight after the gym, my muscles are going to fall off.
Exactly.
It's like kind of that same. But look, we all grew up with those beliefs too, because I thought protein shakes were like this magical thing that you had to take when you do gym. I still get questions from some of my friends like, and Dave, will I take a protein shake now after training? And I'm like, well, how much protein are you eating? And what's your dinner look like? How long did you eat before your training session? And they're like, I did this, and this. Well, you don't need a protein shake then. Same goes for BCAAs. People just have drank them for years throughout their workouts, and they still think that they're magic. And even when they hear the research, I know some people that even though I've explained the research to them, they still don't want to, they just want to stay taking their BCAAs because it's such a habit and routine for them.
Yeah, and you and I have an advantage with us being kind of evidence-based practitioners, where you and I would have believed these things blindly once upon a time. I used to read things on Facebook and then turn to the person next to me at work and go, "Oh, did you hear this?" Without questioning it, without thinking about it, zero critical thinking. But now it's like, my wife will turn to me and show me something on Facebook and go, "Oh, did you read this?" And I'll say, "Okay, where's that came from? And is there a study linked to it? How did they know this? Where did this come from? What's the evidence behind it?" And it's that kind of, where you and I will both have that kind of questioning mindset now, whereas there are people who just see these infographics and posts and stuff, and they just take it, it's on the internet, it must be true, and they just take it and then they'll start passing it around, and it gets, Chinese whispers, and then it changes, and I think you and I are just lucky that we kind of have this kind of critical mindset now, where, don't just take everything at face value, question everything and keep going until you find out what the actual truth behind it is. But we probably did believe a lot of these things once upon a time.
Oh, of course. It's a natural progression for us too in the line of work we're in. But I suppose,
yeah. I used to be doing. I used to be finishing my last bicep curl with my left arm, and I'd be shaking my protein shaker in my right arm. Once upon a time.
Yeah, I went through the whole paleo thing, no carbs, following super strict following a meal plan is nearly similar to these diets in a way. I followed a meal plan super strict. It was putting me in a massive deficit, not realizing it, of course, and I was coupling that with 5-6 training days a week. And it was at a time when I wasn't playing my local sport here, so I had the time to do it all. And when I stopped, I realised how kind of fucked up my kind of relationship around food was, because I was counting out almonds to put in my meals. And when I stopped following that exact meal plan, I think I was given like a sample day, and I didn't deviate from the sample day for like 10, 12 weeks straight, I think. And I didn't know what to do.
You forgot how to eat after that.
Yeah, like I didn't know what to do after I stopped. Like, so
Yeah.
I kind of just stayed doing the same thing. So I got really fucking lean, you know. But then that's when I actually kind of started researching stuff, and not so much researching as in reading science, but like I started looking into things a lot more, and that's where it kind of took off from there. But let's backtrack a little bit now to the free foods, the Syns, the healthy extras. Like, how do Syns work, Jason?
The idea is that I think it's between, they get 5 and 15 Syns to use per day. The way that, you know, some people use them properly, other people kind of save them up for the end of the day. People will use all 15 of them, or they'll wait to the end of the day and they'll still have them all left, and they'll just use them all up just because they're there. You know, it's one of these things where you can't say to someone that, you know, these are what you have available to you every single day, but, you know, you don't have to use them all. It doesn't always work like that, unfortunately. I'm the same as well in my group when it comes to calories. You know, I keep trying to emphasise the fact that, you know, when you get to the end of the day and you've still got a few hundred calories left, you don't need to eat them. If you're not hungry, you don't eat. But then you have people going to the classes that have maybe put on a few pounds on this weekly weigh-in at 7 o'clock at night in the local church hall or whatever, and then they're getting told that they're not eating enough. So these kind of things get bounced around. So if you think about, you know, the power of Instagram, the power of Facebook, people go and read these things. So they'll come back from a group meeting and say, oh, I went to group tonight, not eating all my Syns, and I'm going to have to work really hard this week to eat more of these. And then that rubs off on someone, so someone else starts doing that, and then it all gets passed back and forward between various people, to the point where nobody really knows what the actual plan is they're meant to be following. Does that make sense? You know, like, it's the plan itself, once upon a time, probably was very well thought out, but social media kind of takes over. Healthy Extras is the only kind of sensible one on the list, because you actually weigh those out to the gram. Healthy Extra E, as I say, I've only very lightly skimmed through this, but I did notice that with the Healthy Extras, these things have to be weighed out to the gram, which is about the only kind of sensible thing that they do, you know, in the whole book.
Like, again, like rice, pasta, they see that as unlimited, and like,
yeah,
the experience that I have, some of my ladies here, I actually have no men that have come from Slimming World, I've never coached the lads that have come from Slimming World, but the unlimited rice and pasta thing, like, from the ladies that I was dealing with, they were saying they came to a time where they were just trying to, literally how much pasta and rice could they fit in their plate. That's what they started doing, like, yeah. And the same thing as well, you mentioned.
Yeah, but, you know,
no, sorry, go on.
But the whole kind of rice and pasta thing, to me, it's one of the things that they do in the plan, because it's so out of place. When you look at the free food list, rice and pasta to me is the one that is completely out of place on that list, and that's the one that I think is specifically targeting people with eating disorders and targeting people that want to binge eat. People want to lose weight, but people don't want to eat less food. I would say that's a pretty...
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was a fact, but it's people, you know, this is how they all compete with each other, you know. It's the amount of times that I get tagged in things on Instagram, and it's people putting up a post saying, Slimming World or Weight Watchers, which of the should the two? And then, you know, my members will all go in and say, oh, you should take a look at Munro Fitness and blah, blah, blah. But they want to lose the most weight in the shortest amount of time whilst eating the most amount of food. And I think that's where the whole marketing thing comes into it. My brother's partner sent me a picture. He lives in Carlisle, so they were in the town centre, and there was a poster outside one of it was like a town hall or something like that, And the poster outside was, can you eat chips and lose weight? Yes, you can. And then it's the power of free food. And it's, that's madness to me. It's picking, who is that for? Who is that targeting? What is the target market of that statement? People that like to eat a lot of chips. Can you eat chips and lose weight? And these are the things that bother me. It's this, the way that they market the food, the way that they target people. If you go into Iceland, into the freezers, and you look at all the, Iceland have a quite prominent at the front of the shop, all the Slimming World meals, and they've just put out their own chips and stuff. And the big badge on the front of every single food packet is free food at Slimming World. I mean, what kind of advertising is that? Free food. If you confronted them about that, I'm sure they would have a very good reason for saying it. But, who are they targeting with that? Free food at Slimming World. They're not targeting just kind of general members of the public that want to lose weight. It's specifically aimed at people that want to eat a lot of food and hopefully lose weight.
And again, just to break it down into a simple format, if people are confused about what we're saying, like if you're following a plan and you're eating veggies, you're eating lots of protein sources, and let's just say you have 3 main meals a day and you have maybe a snack put in there. If those meals are calorie controlled, if that snack is controlled, yes, you're probably going to be in a deficit. Yes, you're going to lose weight. But if you start applying this kind of free food thing into your, let's say, lunch and dinner, and you start lumping on unlimited pasta and rice, and you have 500 to 600 calories of rice in your meal, or let's just say you put some oils into there as well, or whatever it is, you're mindlessly bumping up the calories without even knowing it. So it's taking you out of a deficit, which is why you do not lose weight, which is why you go to Weight Watchers one week and you weigh in and you're a pound down, which is why you go the next week and you're a pound up. Doesn't mean you've gained a pound. Yes. It probably just means that your weight is staying the same, but there's water fluctuations there that account for a lot of these water fluctuations. Like, if I was to put a number on it, Jason, I'd say an average person could fluctuate between 1 to 4 pounds on any given day, depending on sleep, stress, carbohydrate intake the night before, water intake, time of day you weigh in, obviously some of the massive one. Did you go to the toilet that day? And I think Slimming World weigh in the even time as well. So, like, how can that be accurate? Like, I know the one local to us, they do like a Thursday evening. But how can a Thursday evening be accurate when you're wearing full clothes? What if you wore a heavier t-shirt that day versus, you're adding on grams to the scales without even knowing it, like. But again, weight is a massive factor we educate people on as well, because you become so attached to that number in the scales as well. It's another factor that
definitely
messes it up, like. But I don't think
this kind of transitions nicely into, the whole weigh day thing, because in my group I have the guys weigh daily.
And I understand the reason.
First thing in the morning. Yeah, so first thing in the morning. One of the main reasons behind it is that most of them, because they come from slimming groups, they have scale anxiety, weigh day anxiety. It's, when you're following these plans, it's 6 days off, on plan, and then it all comes down to that one defining moment that they believe is a true reflection of their efforts from the week before. I did a live chat in the group a few months ago, and I came up with this thing called the fat loss iceberg. So I don't know if you've ever seen the graphic where it's like, the iceberg, it's like successes on the top, and then below the surface is, all the various things behind the scenes that you don't get to see. I kind of turned that upside down, and at the bottom I had fat loss. And the rest of the iceberg was everything that you've just mentioned, all the things that you are trying to see through to find out what your weight is at the bottom of it. So, all the various things, meal time and water retention, time of day, weight of clothing, bowel movements, etc. These are all the things that you are trying to cut through to see what your weight is. So I have the guys weigh daily, ignoring the fluctuations because I explained to them all what the fluctuations are. And only tracking their kind of new lows, and then we use those to track across a kind of great period of time. For anyone that's listening and wants to try weighing daily, I would only ever advise it alongside a calorie controlled diet, because of, as you've said, these kind of average fluctuations. If somebody was doing Slimming World, and they have maybe 1,200 calories one day and then 1,900 calories the next, they're not going to enjoy seeing the kind of numbers that come up on the scale if they were weighing daily. So I would only say do that alongside a calorie controlled diet. But yeah, the whole weigh day anxiety thing, it's like 6 days off on plan, and then it all comes down to that one day. And I asked a question on my Instagram story a couple of weeks ago, and it was, do you or did you have some form of weigh day ritual? And then I got a lot of messages, and it was all the same thing. It was like, yeah, I wouldn't eat all day. I would just drink water, wear the same clothes. Some of them wouldn't eat carbs after a certain time of night, the night before, because they heard that carbs make you retain water. And these people were starving themselves for a day so that they would get a good result on the scales that night when they go to weigh in. And what I'd said to them all was, this is, if you do that once, then that's it. You have to do it every time. It will only work once. If you don't do it 1 week and you weigh 10 stone, and then the next week you starve yourself all day and you come in at like 9 stone 10, that's it. You have to do it every single time after that. And it's horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. And this is seen as the norm. Many people just see this as normal. I mean, I know that my mum's done it in the past, not eating anything or eating very little, or maybe only just had breakfast because they know that they're going to weigh in that day. So yeah, it's scary. I hate it. It really gets to me that people are putting themselves through this. And I say this on my Instagram all the time, that just because these things are seen as the norm, so yo-yo dieting is seen as the norm, not eating all day before you go to weigh in is seen as a norm. Just because it's seen as a norm does not make it normal.
Yeah, just a note on the weigh-ins as well. So the way we coach people, we'll have set training times across the week, and on Fridays and Saturdays we do a weigh-in at the gym. Right now, I could be contradicting myself. If somebody was looking from the outside in, you're like, right, you have a weigh-in. So we weigh in there's 4 or 5 sessions that day, 6 sessions, whatever it is, and we do a weigh-in before each of those sessions. But am I not contradicting myself then there, saying weighing in the evening is not accurate? It's not, but we do that. We still do that on a Friday and a Saturday, because it's nearly like a mini check-in with the coach. So let's just say that you haven't sent an email check-in with us in 3 weeks, and you've been avoided the last 2 weeks of weigh-ins, and we call you up to get a weigh-in done in the gym, and your weight is the same, or maybe it's fluctuated 2 pounds up. Our members know not to lose the rag with that, because it's a fluctuation. It's the time of day. You're wearing heavier fucking pants than you were the last day. But still, we still have to kind of remind members of that nearly every week. And we have to remind them that, now, bear in mind, Jason, as well, we couple this with encouraging them to weigh in at least, long-term, 3 times a week if they're in a fat loss phase. If they're not, we get them to keep an eye on their weight, maybe do a couple of weigh-ins over 2-week periods if you want to keep an eye on it, if you're not in a fat loss phase. But at what we do with our guys when they start the gym, we run 6-week challenges, and we get them to weigh in on a tracker we give them to do themselves at home. And we've slightly changed it over time as well. So we used to get them to do that once a week at home, then we used to get them to do it once in the gym. But still, if you were fluctuated up in body weight, like water fluctuations for that day, it could still mask your true fat loss for that week. So if you're a small female and a realistic target for you is to lose 0.5 of a pound every week, right? So every 2 weeks you lose a pound of body fat. But your water fluctuations, you've a super stressful job, you've kids keeping you up all night, and you've fluctuated up 2 pounds each week. You might not see the actual result in the scales for 4 fucking weeks, So again, you have to have that knowledge behind these fluctuations, this kind of stuff. And the reason why I wanted to backtrack on this as well, because I want people to understand in a bit more detail why they're doing the daily fluctuations with you as well, because we get them to do daily fluctuations usually after the first 6 weeks. We get them to do daily. If they miss a day, we're like, don't worry about it. But we get them to do daily for maybe 8 or 9 weeks. And some of them don't do it, some of them do it. But the idea is we're telling them, you're doing this because we want you to learn how your weight fluctuates. Especially for ladies. Absolutely, yeah. Time of month is another massive factor that your weight's going to start going crazy. You're going to start probably getting more sugar cravings than normal. What do we do with calories that week? All these questions come into it. And the daily fluctuations you're going to have, if you look at a graph, it's going to spike up, it's going to spike down, it's going to go up, going to go down, going to go up, going to go down. But over a week or a 2 week period, if you had a trend line following those weigh-ins, the trend line should be coming down, and that's your body fat, nearly accurate body fat levels. So hopefully that just makes it a bit more concrete for the listeners and that. But again, that's why then if we have somebody, they have that knowledge, They know how to go to a fat loss phase. They know how to come out of it. They're training away in the gym. They're keeping accountable to us. Like, they know then for the future that they don't really have to weigh daily, but we do get them to keep an average of 3 days a week, because let's just say 1 week they actually weren't down in body fat. They're probably going to see it if they have the 3 day a week average over a 2 week block. Do you know what I mean? Because if you're going into week 3 and you still haven't seen an overall drop, then we might say, look, okay, we need to review things a little bit deeper then. But again, it's education behind why your weight fluctuates. You're not getting tied to a scales. You're not getting hung up on that scales. And knowing that weight does not mean body fat. Now, hopefully that explains that in a bit more detail. But one thing that you mentioned on your story as well, that kind of stuck in my head a few minutes ago, Jason, was just the whole sin thing. And a few weeks back, there was a bit of a controversy around the Muller Light yogurts. And I think you had a brilliant graphic up on like certain, or the like dessert style treats, where you had you had 6 or 7 of them in a list. And at the bottom, explain that to us.
Yeah. Somebody had sent me this this thing, and it was actually old, because they now sin Muller Lights now. I think it's up to 1 sin. There was a big outrage in the media not too long ago, so it's now 1 sin. But it was along the lines of, they had these various treats. What was the one at the top? I think it was a small Caramac bar, was 8.5 cents, and it was 171 calories. So the idea behind a sin is 1 sin is supposed to equate to roughly 20 calories. So this small Caramac bar, this small chocolate bar, 8.5 cents, 171 calories, but you then have a Muller Light, which was 1 cent at 99 calories. So someone has the ability to have, I don't know why they would want to, but I know some people would, that they would have 8 Muller Lights, because that would be 8 cents. 8.5 Muller Lights would be 8.5 cents, which would be, 840 calories? Or for the same cents, you could have less calories. And as we spoke about earlier on, energy deficit, consuming less calories to lose weight. Those 8.5 Muller Lights could be the difference between putting someone in a deficit or taking them straight out of it, and even putting them into a surplus. I mentioned earlier on about avocados. I double checked that earlier. They're, an avocado, a nutrient dense food, full of healthy fats, 300 calories. That would be 14 cents. And if we touch back on the free food thing again, 170 grams of cooked pasta is the exact same calories, but it's free. So if you said to someone, here's an avocado, but it's going to use your 14 cents for the day, and it's 300 calories, or you could have this pile of pasta with your dinner for free and still have your 14 cents to then go and eat more later on. What they're going to choose. They're not going to choose the avocado, are they? They're not going to waste their cents, because that's the way it's seen. You don't want to waste your cents on something. They're going to choose the free food every time. And this leads on to another thing that I got into with, I kind of called someone out on Instagram. Not something I do often, but this was one that I got sent and it kind of got to me a bit. Pop-Tarts. A Pop-Tart, one of my childhood favourites. 10 cents, 200 calories. So 10 cents, 20 calories each, 200 calories, makes complete sense why that would be sin. But this person, I don't know if you've ever seen these massively popular Instagram accounts with hundreds of thousands of followers. I won't name the account, but they had created their own healthy version of a Pop-Tart using... Using it was what was it?
It's the same with the
Weight Watchers wraps.
Yeah, like the same with, like fucking chocolate brownie, protein brownie, or whatever. I know what you mean.
Yeah,
keep going for now.
So they made this Pop-Tart. So I took a note of the ingredients, threw them all into my MyFitnessPal. So they had created, the kind of saving grace, and the response I got was that this lets you have 2 of them, which, what difference that makes, I don't know. But they had came up with this recipe to make 2 Pop-Tart style treats, and it came out at something like 2 cents, and it used one of the healthy extras. But it was 230 calories. Now, that person has taken something that was 10 Syns, 200 calories, reduced it down to 2 Syns or 2.5 Syns, I can't quite remember what it was, for 230 calories. That then leaves them with another 8 to spend. So, to me, these accounts that get massively famous, they are acting as enablers, you know. They are tweaking the plan to get kind of more food for your buck kind of thing, to then allow you to go and then continue to eat more, which is something that drives me absolutely nuts.
Yeah, just because it's healthy.
You know, it's claiming that it's a healthy version, but people just go nuts for it because it is less, you know, they're getting more out of their Syns for the day. And it comes back to that thing, you know, you want to eat the most food for the least amount of Syns possible, so let's tweak this and tweak that, and if we do this, then that will give us more Syns to spend later on at night. And these accounts get massively popular, and then some of them even go on to make quite a lot of money from it and get lots of products and stuff sent to them as well.
Yeah, they open up their own recipe books, they start making their own products, they get into stores. It was the same controversy with, I'm sure ladies and lads listening to this would have heard of the body coach, and me and you know the whole controversy around the body coach the last couple of years, and a lot of personal trainers were slating him and whatnot. Now, the fact of the matter is, he's doing unbelievable for himself, he's making millions online and blah blah, and a lot of personal trainers are just jealous of that fact. But also, the other side of it was that didn't he basically say that a calorie deficit doesn't matter, wasn't it? As long as you eat healthy and all this kind of stuff, you lose weight. So he was kind of similar to that. He was lumping in coconut oil into a pan, and they're just kind of like all healthy, perfectly healthy foods, but like eating lots of oil, lots of fatty foods, and on top of that, nuts, throwing in oil left, right and centre. And when you actually calculated up some of his recipes, they were super high in calories. So some people were actually gaining weight whilst they were doing his plan. And that's what we talked about with the Syns and the avocado and the pasta and stuff earlier on. That's how people can gain weight with Slimming World and that kind of stuff as well, is that it's not because that you ate this more Syn or that. It is when you break it down to a calorie number, but again, fundamentally what's happening at a fundamental level is you're consuming too much calories. So again, hopefully people are starting to see that, might be following Slimming World now, listen to this, they understand about the weight fluctuations, they understand why they're not losing weight, they understand why they're gaining weight, they understand even why they're losing weight in the plan. Again, all this comes back to kind of principle based stuff. And you mentioned something there a second ago that kind of stuck in my head about the healthy foods, and like this is what I love hearing these type of stories, because one of our ladies as well at the goals workshop we had last weekend, another lady, she was saying how she was in school one day, and she's a teacher, and she was saying that in the staff room someone was having a smoothie, I think it was, and they just got chatting, and they know she's doing Doc Fitness, so they asked her, is this good for me? Isn't this healthy? And she said, what do you mean healthy? And they said, the person, I think it was a man, they replied back, well, I want to, she goes, what do you mean healthy? What is your goal? And he says back, well, I want to lose some weight. And then she goes, yeah, well, you do know that fat loss and being healthy are nearly two different things, because yes, of course you can be healthy, but just because you're healthy doesn't mean you automatically lose weight. And he was kind of like, what the hell do you mean? And she was like, well, again, she kind of mentioned, I was like, well, this is where now you probably lost him, because you probably started saying calories, and he was like, what the hell are calories? Or do you know what I mean? Like it goes in over some people's heads. But she was trying to explain to him that, yes, a smoothie is quote unquote healthy, there's lots of nutrients in it, whatnot, but it depends what you're putting in that smoothie, and it depends how many calories in that smoothie, and it depends how many calories you eat across the day, it depends how many calories you eat across the week, and whether you lose weight or not. And he was just dumbfounded, but for us to know that our members have that level of knowledge is fucking phenomenal, to put it bluntly. And that just, it kind of warms my heart inside knowing that, because one thing that we haven't even touched on, Jason, as well, is that the people, what do they call it? Practitioners, coaches, the people at these Slimming World meetings, do they even have a nutritional qualification?
No.
How qualified are they?
It's just a code. You get handed a plan, and it's go to a room and teach this. Here's the kind of general guidelines. Go to a room and off you go. I do. There's a couple of. I've been engaged with a couple of Slimming World consultants on Instagram. There was a time where I was just kind of starting out, and I did bash Slimming World quite a lot purely to try and draw more people into what I've done and kind of boost my own profile a bit. But, you know, I don't talk about it as much anymore. But I did get contacted by 2 or 3 different consultants, and, you know, one of them was not following the Slimming World plan. I knew that they told me that they were working with a personal trainer who had given them a nutrition plan, and they were dealing with calories and macros. And then this is someone that is standing in front of a room full of people, but then teaching this plan that they've been given. And that completely blows my mind. That, you know, the start of the Slimming World book, it simply tells you, you know, it's unlike one of the first couple of pages, forget all about calories, completely forget them. I don't know, you know, that would be like you or I going to a Slimming World meeting and trying to teach, you know, the Slimming World language, the Slimming World plan to someone when we already know what we know. So no, it's, you know, it's they go to a quick training course somewhere. Here's what you do, here's how it works, now off you go and make some money.
Yeah, that's it really, isn't it? It's mind-boggling, like, because I've had arguments with people saying, oh, the consultants know what they're talking about, and I'm like, fair enough, maybe some of them do, but like, can they explain this and this? And it's kind of like, no, they can't really, you know. So it's an eye-opener for people. Like, they have, like, majority, I'm not saying all of them, like, some of them could be ex-dietitians, for example, some of them could be quote-unquote a nutritionist, but at the end of the day, it's super easy for someone to become a nutritionist. Do an online shitty nutrition course for €100, boom, you're a nutritionist. Or you can classify yourself as a nutritionist. Doesn't mean you can be insurable as one, but you can still call yourself one, which is, again, in itself, it's like, okay, you know, and that's kind of scary in its own right. And when people kind of start to see that and see through that, they realise that, right, this person is following from a manual they were given so they can make more money. And as you just said there, that person themselves wasn't even following the plan. Like, it's funny because the lady example I used earlier who said she went back and she was shocked at how brainwashed people were, she is still going back, as I said, the last few weeks just to get the bars because she actually really likes the bar for the 70 calories. And I'm like, right, I'm on a mission to find a bar that's similar to
find something, yeah.
but doesn't have the fucking Slimming World logo on it, and that's 70 calories. So if you find any bar, please let me know, because I can't wait to show her. But she was saying, what is she saying as well? Yeah, like one day she showed me, about 6 weeks back, she brought home an A4 piece of paper. Literally an A4 piece of paper, not even a heading on the paper, you know, just so unprofessional, like the basic font, whatever it is when you open a Word document, and just something like how to stay motivated on your Slimming World plan or something like that. It was going on about Syns and free foods and blah. And then one of the really stuck out to me was just like, if you're feeling unmotivated, watch these motivational videos on YouTube. And it listed off like 3 motivational videos, and I was like, oh my god, this is the actual advice that they're giving someone in this place. I'm just like mind boggled by it. And again, at the time, my client didn't really see. She was like, sure, it's grand, like, isn't it? And I'm like, yeah, it's grand, but I said, look, give it a few more weeks' time and you'll see where I'm coming from. And now she's starting to slowly realise, okay, now I know what you're talking about. Again, like, even like a few weeks when she first started, she was told that if you mash up fruit, it automatically adds more calories when you mash it up. And my jaw like nearly hit the floor. I was like, what? Like, how can people get away? Like, how is this? Who regulates this? Who? Like,
yeah, but they don't explain the real reason behind it. You know, I had the kind of banana discussion on Instagram once, and I got contacted by a guy who was a Slimming World consultant. He says, yeah, I would be more than happy to discuss this with you and let you know why. I went, okay, what is your take on? So a banana is a free food, but when you mash it up or puree it, I think it's 2 cents or 2.5 cents. Can't remember, could be wrong.
Is that still in practice, like?
Yeah, this is, you know, it's the idea behind it is, and the real idea behind it is, if you blend your fruit, so blend it, put it into a smoothie, you could potentially drink it very quickly, not get the same kind of satiety signals, and then go on to eat something else, which is the reason that they sin it, because I think they try to sin it to make people avoid doing it. But yeah, his explanation to me was, now this was a Slimming World consultant, if you blend something, then you don't burn as many calories when you chew it. So for quickness, I had a quick look to see if there was anything on actually chewing and the number of calories you burn, and the kind of average figure I found was 11 calories per hour. So this was where they monitored people that were chewing gum, and the average was 11 calories per hour. So if you think of how many minutes it would take you to eat a banana, and those I don't know, what, 1 calorie, half a calorie that you're missing out on because
I'd say less. Yeah, I'd say
yeah,
less.
Probably less. Yeah.
So technically he's still right though.
Well, technically yes, but yeah, unless you're going to chew your banana for a couple of hours, it's not really going to make much difference, is it?
And you could answer that as well. If this ever happens in the future, or if anyone listening, if I mash up a banana and a plate with a fork, let's pretend and I eat it, and it adds Syns to it magically, like the fairy comes and sprinkles more calories on it. What happens when you chew a banana? That's what you're doing. You're breaking down the banana and you're eating it like. So
it's ridiculous.
I can't get my head around that. Like I can't. I'm probably going to be too.
But then it comes back to people do believe this. That's what it comes back to. There are people that will just accept that. They'll all sit at these meetings and just accept it because they're told it. And this is what you're fighting against.
I'm getting a bit too emotionally attached now. I need to pull myself back a little bit. Alright. Is there anything you think that we haven't covered, Jason, in terms of like we talked about this kind of Syns and how people manipulate the Syns to make it quote unquote work for them, but then they end up actually shooting themselves in the foot and eating more. The relationship with how they view food in general and how they can't come off the swimwear plan because they wouldn't have a clue what to do after it. The weight fluctuations, the fixation on weight. Do you know, like, if this is happening to someone for the last 5 years, and they love going to swimwear, they love their, like, another thing I've heard as well is people love their consultants. Like, they get on really well with them. They like them as a human being. We're not saying they're bad people, but and look, some of them might have the best intentions at heart, but you need to you need to be selfish in this approach for yourself and realize that, right, are you getting the results you want out of this? Do you have a happy relationship with food? How is your environment at home with food? Do you have roused your partner over X, Y, and Z because your partner is laughing at what you do? And do you know what I mean? Like, you teach people how to lose weight by tracking calories and X, Y, and Z. Obviously, we can do that without tracking calories. There's different ways of going about that. But fundamentally, they're able to bring that home and apply that knowledge to their whole family, to their kids, to their partner. And
yes, absolutely.
That's something that we're massive on.
Something that I completely get a buzz from is that I know that it's not just the people in the group that I benefit. There was a thing recently where someone in the group posted a picture of their husband, and you should see this guy. He went from having a little pot belly, and he is shredded now because he's been, his wife's been cooking the same meals as she's eating for him. And then it kind of started this stream of, there was like 2 or 3 people posting pictures of their husbands because, the wife that's in the group does all the cooking. And that gives me a massive buzz knowing that there are kids and husbands benefiting from the things that they are learning in the group and the things that I'm teaching. And there's a thing that I speak about often. It's, I call it dietary isolation. So it's like if you go on a diet such as Slimming World and you are responsible for, let's say you're a family of 4 or 5 and your husband and your kids are sitting at the dinner table eating something that you wish you were eating, but then you're sitting there with your diet meal. And that's another thing, these things keep popping in my head. I had, there's a story I did a while ago that resonated with so many people, and loads of people joined the group, where I say, has your child turned round and asked you how many Syns is in something? If your child is asking you those kind of questions, then it's time to get rid of it, because you're just setting up the next wave of yo-yo dieters by allowing them to kind of see the lengths that you're going to lose weight. And kids shouldn't be learning. You can take 14-year-old kids along to Slimming World meetings. Did you know that?
Yeah, like I actually had somebody argue with me in the fact that I kind of had a post up or a video up saying, like, is it, again, I get really emotional with the stuff, and that's where I start cursing a lot more. So when I start cursing a lot more, it's really like hitting home with me. And I had a video up, and I was happy to the video. I was telling myself, right, I can't curse in this video because it's only too obvious. But then halfway through it, I just kind of let loose, and I had a few swear words. I actually edited like 5 swear words out of it to make it less, but somebody still got on to. He's like,
trying to keep it professional.
Not even that, but like, the reason why I got kind of so emotionally charged for it was the kid thing. I was thinking about, do you think it's healthy to be teaching your kid how many sins are in the food? And their argument was, it doesn't mean sin. It doesn't mean a sin as in sin. It's a sin for synergy, and it teaches the kids good. And I was like, oh my, if you can't see that, like, just unfollow me and maybe just, I can't help you.
Yeah, definitely. I say that as well. If you don't like it, just unfollow, that's fine. But the whole kids thing, that I have a lot of messages saying, I'd like to join your group, but I would like to bring my 14-year-old daughter or 15-year-old daughter with me. I just reply no straight away. But what we will do is, what you're going to learn in the group, I wouldn't even encourage them to then go and teach their kids about calories and macros or anything like that. Just teach them the reasons behind those. So eat adequate protein, eat adequate fibre. Don't get into the numbers or anything like that. Just show them what the foods are, and show them how to balance them.
I actually have a good one on that too, because I don't yes, we've had a couple of I think kids that I've joined Doc Fitness here, not online. I haven't coached anyone obviously below the age of 18 online. I only take on people above the age of 25, 26 online anyway. But we have maybe a couple of kids come with their parents, and one of my one-to-one personal training clients here, his daughter and her friend are starting our 6-week group challenge in the gym here, in the physical gym, in 2 weeks' time. And I was asking, what age is she? Just getting a rough background of her current eating habits, that kind of stuff. And the way we approach things when someone starts, we don't dive into tracking straight away. We go more so by portion control. Again, we tell them, look, you're controlling calories by doing this, but you just don't have to count them. So they're doing basic portion control, kind of like a precision nutrition system where they're going to roughly go by hand size. We've obviously tweaked it to our own system, but again, how to create a meal, and then even little things like how to add in chocolate without coming out of that deficit, that kind of thing. But again, there's education behind it, blah blah. There's hand sizes, there's this kind of stuff, portion control, plate sizes, blah blah. After a 6 to 8 week period, then we go tracking deeper into calories. Now, the thing is, this is all individualized, Jason. So we had one guy start last week. He's a photo shoot for a modeling agency in 9 weeks' time, and he has no knowledge behind food. He's only done what he's ever done. He's only 20, and I'm saying, look, I'm going to bypass a lot of the foundational stuff we do, and I'm going to get you straight into tracking calories. But again, I didn't just say, right, here's your plan. I told him, look, I'm going to have you tracking calories. I'm going to have you tracking protein. We're going to track at MyFitnessPal. We set him up with calorie targets that were suited to him because he plays soccer 3 times a week, so we're manipulating his carb intake, a bit more carbs, a bit less fat, that kind of stuff. But again, he understands that this is because he's a photo shoot. And I was emphasizing to him, look, we will eventually recircle back to some basic foundational stuff, so you don't always have to keep tracking, but he understands that, if that makes sense. And then same goes for the 16-year-old girl starting. We're not going to go near probably won't even mention the word calories that much. We'll make them understand energy balance and blah blah blah. But I know that they're coming literally just to kind of eat a bit healthier and train, rather than lose weight, lose fat. But again, we're going to give them the education behind it. They're going to go home to the same household, and it's probably going to trickle into the rest of the family, which is kind of what we want over time as well, So yeah, it's good to kind of bring up that fact too about kids, and that's just kind of an approach that we've taken in the past with it. But anyone younger than 16, we just avoid it nearly in a way. But the other side of it, Jason, as well, is that you need to realise that if we don't help them, where are they going to bring their child? They're probably going to bring their child to Slimming World, or they're going to bring them to a dietitian that gives them a really strict meal plan, which is what I've heard of before as well. So again, are we the best people to help them? And I believe we are, and that's why.
Yeah, definitely.
We put out these podcast episodes as well to show people that, and to show people how much we care about this stuff, So, yeah, sorry now, I probably went off on a bit of a tangent there, but is there anything else you kind of want to talk about?
That's fine. Probably, the last thing that I've kind of had a note of that I wanted to talk about was the whole binge and restrict type scenario in Slimming World. I spoke about this in a group recently actually, and it was all about wording. So a question that commonly pops up in the group is, I've had a bit of an indulgent weekend. Should I, and this is on a Monday, I've had a bit of an indulgent weekend, should I cut my calories back today just to make up for it? And then I'll be like, we'll make up for what? What is it that you think that you've done wrong? It's like, oh, well, I ate this and I've done this and I ate too much and I drank too much. And it's trying to get people to understand it. But you know what? That's all right. That's perfectly normal. There are some extreme cases where people are binge eating, but when people look to over-restrict over what they think is a kind of period of overindulgence, that's when this cycle can start. So it's a kind of wording thing. So in the group, we do a monthly 36-hour fast. So the first Monday of every group, we have a little event where we do a 36-hour fast. For no other reason than it's just an education in real hunger. So we kind of fast from the Sunday night through Monday and into Tuesday morning, and then afterwards we talk to them and say, how did you get on? How did you feel? What did you learn? What kind of times did you feel in a hunger come and stuff? And it's a good learning experience for them all, because in a world where food is everywhere, within easy reach, nobody really knows what true hunger is. So it's an educational thing. But then that leads on to what I was saying about this Monday. Should I restrict my calories today? Should I have a fast day today? And then that, to translate that into Slimming World, they would call that an SP day, so a speed food day. So it's like, you see this all the time on social media, and especially on Instagram. Little bit, had too much to eat last night, I'm going to have an SB day today, which is basically a word of saying they're going to, their way of saying they're going to restrict. And this is how this kind of binge restrict thing starts. You overeat one day, restrict the next day, feel super hungry, and then you can fall into this cycle where you end up going round and round, and then coming back. I think we kind of missed that when we spoke about, the weekly weigh-in, that people do starve themselves all day, and the kind of go-to food is like a big Chinese right after weigh-in. And honestly, I've been told this hundreds of times from members in the group that they used to starve themselves all day, go to weigh-in, and then they would pick up a takeaway on the way home, like a massive-sized takeaway on the way home, completely stuff themselves full, and then it was back on plan the next again day. So yeah, there's a huge kind of binge and restrict side to it as well, that people don't necessarily see, but you can spot it if you know the kind of wording to look out for with this SP day.
Yeah, it's something that we work on one-to-one people too over time, is your perspective around things as well. Like, a big one for us is that didn't have a great weekend, but I'm back on track now. It's Monday, and we're like,
back on track. Yeah,
like, what track are you off in the first place? Like, you're still like, it's just trying to get that perspective.
It's trying to explain them that there is no off track. There is just life, and just because you do this doesn't make it bad. And it's very difficult to people. It's like, drawing the line tomorrow and starting again. You don't start again. You just keep going, man.
Fell off the wagon.
Yeah, it's very difficult to change it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But like, one thing that I always kind of recircle back around is, okay, why do you think you're off track? Well, I was fine up until Saturday, and then I went out and had a Chinese, and then we went for drinks, and then we went to the nightclub, and then I had Soup Max after the nightclub. Soup Max is, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, it's like McDonald's, if you like. It's a massive Irish chain, fast food chain. And then we're like, right, and how was Sunday? They're like, well, to be honest, I was so hungover Sunday, I didn't eat that much, and blah, blah. And now it's Monday, I'm back on track. And I'm like, okay, so you ate a bit more food and you drank a bit more calories on Saturday, but roughly how much do you think you ate on Sunday? And they're like, well, X amount. I'm like, right, so you probably overate this week by X amount of calories. That still means that you've lost 0.3 pounds of body fat. It's not the end of the world, is it? It's not like you've gained weight. And they're like, oh yeah, I never looked at it that way. So yeah, you mightn't have hit your target of 1 to 2 pounds, but you still lost a little bit, and you overate one day. Like, if you can kind of rectify that and be aware of that and know that, right, I overate one day does not mean it's the end of the world. It does not mean I've fell off track. It does not mean I've binged. But obviously that can turn into a binge for some people. But I'm just giving you a bit of perspective for the listeners, I suppose, listen to this, that just because you ate more calories one day does not mean you're off track, and just continuing on as normal is the easiest solution to that. But Jason, I suppose, look, we can go down 20 more rabbit holes, I suppose, but I want to start wrapping things up a little bit. After talking about all that, and hopefully we've kept people's attention until now, like, I know you have a monthly subscription group. We have our physical facility here in Galway, and I coach. I mainly do all the Doc Fitness online side of things, so I coach one-to-one clients online. I'm upping my client intake to 15 this year. At the moment, I have 11. I only take on max that number, and then I coach in detail as well, like 6-week challenges, and I have an academy as well. Like, you could say the academy is similar to what you do, but it's a higher price point, and I'm a lot more in detail with the training side of things, training, and a couple of that with fat loss phase, this, that, and the other. But at least people know from listening to this that, right, they have Jason that they can go to if that's something that they're interested in. They know that you're there for the stay-at-home mom that cannot get to the gym. Maybe Jason is more suited to you than coming to me. But at the end of all this, Jason, is that there's many more people out there like me and you that can help you. And I would say to someone as well like that, if you relate to me and you like my stuff and you can, my stories resonate with you, it makes more sense for you to kind of get onto someone like me or someone like Jason. If you can relate to Jason and Jason's approach and that kind of stuff, get onto Jason. Versus if you're someone down the road and you really, really like them and you look into them and they are more evidence-based approach, I'd say go with them, because being in a physical location is the cream of the crop, I think, at the end of the day for people, because you have that. Like I tell people, like if you can make the Calgon, it's like a luxury, because people are always asking me, are you opening gym number 2 in Galway at the city, or else an hour away from here, there, and everywhere? And I'm like, no, because we're putting a lot more effort into the online coaching side of things. And if somebody lives 5 minutes over the road and they want to do online coaching, I'm like, can you make it to the gym? Because if you can make it to the gym, it's 10 times better. But the next best thing, if you still want it, you can do the online. But yeah, I'm just kind of saying this because where do people go if they want to go from here? And I suppose the easiest answer I would have for that is ask for help on people you trust and maybe have a bit of an evidence-based track record of helping people like this over time that now can lose weight, sustain it, keep it off, and have a healthy relationship with food. But have you anything to add to that for yourself, Jason? Like what? Yeah, if you want to plug your website, plug your Instagram, now's the time to do that as well. Pop those in there for me.
MunroFitness.com is my website. Munro_fitness is my Instagram account. The Instagram account has kind of slowed down a bit in terms of me putting out content because I've been so busy with the group, with studies. We recently ran our own challenge and I took some members to Edinburgh to see Martin McDonald's tour date and stuff. That's all done now, so getting back into that. But a lot of the messages I receive are from people that have watched me for months at a time. They've been following for months, reading all the stuff, thinking about getting involved. I don't know, it's very difficult to try and get them just to take that next step. And, there's a lot of fear surrounding it. And I think that comes down to, because it appears to be, what we do appears to be so different from the kind of big slimming clubs. But what I would say is that, what I do is what the big slimming clubs base their plans on. So you are, I don't want to say skipping the middleman, because I'm still kind of the middleman, but you are, you're skipping that whole kind of accidental calorie deficit, hoping to make progress type scenario, and just getting straight to the core of what these plans are based on, and just getting right into it and definitely making progress and definitely getting results, rather than hopefully 6 days on plan and then stepping on the scales with your fingers crossed, hoping to get results.
Yeah, like
people like you and I can guarantee results.
Yeah, that's it. Like I can guarantee to get you in the shape of your life. It's like we know we can. It's not a matter of will that work for you. It's if
exactly.
There's no guesswork. Like
there's no magic, no nothing. It's just science. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
And obviously, then you have all the psychology that comes along with that. And I'm sure, Jason, you've had people too that have joined your plan and maybe either got onto you and said it to you, or even just left because they wanted more accountability. Do you know what I mean? Because if you look at what you do and what I do, I prefer to go a lot deeper with people with the one-to-one coaching online, obviously, but that's a way higher price point, versus what you do. There's all those factors as well that do come into it. But again, if people are paying £5 a week to step in a fucking scales, they can afford to put that out.
Yeah, £5 a week to go to a class for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Whereas, we only charge £10 a month in the group, and people, for £2.50 a week, what does that equate to the price of a coffee per week? And I think that we do get into quite a lot of detail, and my responses are always quite detailed. We perhaps don't get too much into the one-to-one stuff. There are things that we can't solve.
Well, you can't
across a £10 a month Facebook group.
Of course, you can't for that for what they pay for. Like, it's different. Like, obviously, if it's something you want to do down the line, you can, but you've your hands full of what you do. So it's a fantastic service though, to be able to reach that many people for that price point. It's brilliant. I've had some clients that have been in other people's monthly memberships online where they're paying between €20, €30 a month, even though they were training with me. And that's actually where, this is a couple of years ago I'm talking, but that's actually where I got the idea then to create a full membership site for our members here in the gym. And I was coaching a handful of clients online at the time. I always have been, but I never really promoted it. And then I grew the membership site here in the gym. So now I try to add 2 recipes a month if I can, completely made from scratch, that I know that are realistic, real life recipes, rather than just pulling something off the line and hoping that people will do it. And then home workouts, frequently asked questions, you can graph up your weight, all that kind of stuff. Any goal setting videos, I'm starting to create this massive database for people, and all our clients get access to that, which is the cool thing. And that's
great.
That's basically it.
And it's good as well because the more people that you build into these groups, is because, as I said at the beginning, I never expected this to take off at it did. I expected, if I was going to be really lucky, to make it to this kind of 500 membership by the end of the year, but it just exploded. And because there are so many people in the group, it's such a good social space for like-minded people to all chat with one another. They're all on the same journey, they're all having the same struggles, they're all having the same kind of mental battles, because what we do in the group works, it doesn't mean that you still don't have all the usual problems that go along with weight loss, the days that you are feeling down and the days that you are going to eat your emotions and stuff. But these are things that we work on improving as much as we can, and we try to encourage them as best we can within the confines of the group. And it's good as well because there may be a kind of general theme through the week, so I'll keep an eye on posts and it'll be I'm feeling like this and I'm feeling like this, and then that then gives me an idea for a live chat. So for example, tonight, Thursday night's my kind of usual night, so I'll go live in the group for an hour or so, and we're going to talk about maintenance, because we've had quite a few people now that have reached the kind of point where they want to be. They've reached their goals, they're ready to start looking towards maintenance, but they have dieted for so long that they can't imagine a life without dieting. And that was another thing we didn't touch on about Slimming World, was the kind of reward system, the rewards for losing weight. And one of the things that came up in the group was, somebody was so used to losing weight as being an achievement, and they're scared to lose that. They've reached their goal, they don't have any more weight to lose. They used to get a buzz from getting these stickers like Slimmer of the Week, here's your half stone award, a 1 stone award, etc. They, even when they weigh in daily, seeing the new lows, celebrating those, they get the fear when it comes to moving away from that completely and just going back to life at maintenance, which is what we're going to cover in tonight's live chat. So it's another kind of way of interacting and addressing the kind of weekly theme of the tone of the group that I see.
But Jason, people relate to you, care, and you teach fundamental principles. You wouldn't be on this podcast if you were someone who was trying to scam people. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, of course. Yes.
That creates a community then of like-minded people, and more than the community that all my online clients are very similar across the board. Our clients here in the gym in Galway, very similar across the board. That's why they've created their own hiking groups. It's crazy. There's some of the stuff that goes on in the background, just the community aspect, and that's what we're massive on.
Yeah, definitely. I've got people that have crossed countries to go meet up with people and stuff.
Yes, yeah.
Which is really cool.
Sorry, one thing that you mentioned about the kind of the achievement awards, and we do have little kind of check achievements awards as well, like fat loss search after the first 6 weeks, that kind of stuff. But what we're bringing in now soon are we're trying to figure out a way to kind of celebrate a maintenance phase, to celebrate. And we even have in the past with some of our ladies that are pregnant and kept training with us, and they've gained a healthy amount of weight. We've actually given them a cert where they've gained weight, and celebrated that fact, which is something that people just do not do. And to see the joy in their face for that a few weeks out from their pregnancy, and then when we hear the stories of after their pregnancy, they've come back so much faster, better, and stronger than their first child. It's amazing to hear. So, no, I'm fully with you on board with all that. So, Jason, I think we better wrap things up before we stay talking any longer. Yep. I'll link up your Instagram and your Facebook or your website. If you have a Facebook, you can throw it onto me after this as well. But I think Instagram is probably the main area for you, isn't it? And the website. Yeah,
definitely. No, that's where everything kind of started off. But yeah, Instagram's where I have the biggest following, where I interact with people most.
Fantastic.
So yeah.
Jason, thank you very much for coming on, buddy, and we shall chat to you soon.
Awesome. Thank you very much for having me.
So guys, that was Jason from Munro Fitness. You can find all the show notes for this episode over at docfitnessonline.com/episode 28. And that's all for now. Until next time, thank you for tuning in, and we shall chat to you soon. Bye bye.